Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Love and Light Show, where your special guest is Amanda Ingram, and we're super excited to talk to the moms or moms to be today. We're talking about embracing and empowered motherhood, and I'm so excited for this episode. I'm not a mom yet, but I definitely will be in my life, and I'm super excited for all the knowledge and wisdom that Amanda is going to be sharing today. So definitely share this out to any friends that are expecting or moms who are like going through a hard time or just need some extra love and support. That will definitely help them on their journeys. So we're going to be talking about preparing your body for your baby, that birth recovery process, everything that you need to do and know about that, as well as loving the body that you have and not having all those judgments and that negative voice in your head or the negative judgments or thoughts from other people even that you might have in your head that you don't want to have. And then you definitely want to stick around to the end where we're going to be doing a guided gratitude experience so you can figure out and remember and rediscover your own inner strength. So I'm super excited for this episode and have Amanda on with us today. And this is the Love and Light Show, where every Monday at 1 Atlantic, 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, we share different light workers and healers and coaches and amazing heart-centered entrepreneurs to help you guys on your healing journey so that you guys can get the different tips and tricks and tools and resources that'll support you in being the best version of yourself so you can be the change you want to see in the world and really help yourself in the ways that you want to. And then you can share that information and knowledge in your light with those in your family and your friend group and your community so we can all be the change that we want to see in the world and be the lights and the loves that we want to be in this world. And we're on the Be Live platform, so we can't see you until you say hi. So we have 2 people on live with us right now. So definitely say hi as you're popping on live, or if you're catching the replay, you can always hashtag replay. We love to engage with you during the show or afterwards. So if you have any questions, you can also pop those in the comments. And we literally, like, I watch this for the week after. So if you have any questions or comments and stuff, I'll watch it for about a week after the show so we can engage with you guys and make sure that you get all the support that you need on your journey. And I'm Laura McPhee. I'm a joyful goddess, a speaker, healer, and a life coach, and I love empowering women to get to their dream happy lives. So letting go of all the negative thoughts and fears and blocks and that negative ego voice that says that you're not good enough or smart enough or pretty enough or sexy enough or whatever enough for you to be living the life that you want and to be getting to the dreams and the goals that you want. Because I was there, I've lived through it. I've been in the corporate world, miserable and tired and exhausted, and it's been horrible. And I hate seeing women who are still in that, who still have those stories. And I went to a retreat this weekend and there were some people who had those life's hard stories. And I'm like, oh my gosh, life doesn't need to be that way. Life can be joyful and blissful and loving and super supported and nourishing. And you can live a life without assholes. And life can be so free and incredible. And I just want to rid the world of all those bullshit limiting beliefs that are holding women back and that people pleasing mentality that I need to suffer and sacrifice and all that. You don't need to live a life like that. So I love empowering women to truly be living the lives that are unique and beautiful for them so that they can feel free to do so. So I'm super excited to help anyone who feels called to that. And I love doing that. It lights me up so much. And Amanda is awesome. She's here today. A Mind Muscle Maven. I'm so loving that title. I like the alliteration of it. Yes. And she loves helping moms. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. So today we're going to talk about having a baby and kind of what that does to your body, including how you feel about your body. We're at a time of the year, especially now, where it's all about making changes and losing weight and big diets and big exercise plans that are very overwhelming. And I found that kind of messaging was what was sent to me as a new mom. And first time around, I absolutely believe those things. So I do need to get back to my pre-baby body. I do need to fit into those pre-pregnancy genes and jump back into that intense exercise I was doing. And it was really stressful and it was a really tough time. And I didn't know about these things and know that maybe that's not the best thing that my body needed at that time either. And it was kind of finding out and exploring that more in the pregnancy and postpartum fitness that I saw, oh, there is a different way. And there's so much information that moms aren't being told. It's becoming more mainstream, thank goodness, but there's still so many moms who I hear why didn't anybody tell me that? So after my first daughter, that was a big thing where I learned all of these things. And I was like, I have to share this stuff. There's a whole different world out there of postpartum fitness that needs to be shared. And when I had my second daughter, so I'm a mom of two, and I had my second daughter 10 months ago. And that was when I really started paying attention to that messaging I was just talking about that was being sent to me. And I went, that's not okay with me. Now is not the time for me to be worrying about weight and what my body looks like. Now is a time to be honoring the process that my body has just went through. I mean, we grew, we created life, and that life came into the world. No matter how, right? And no matter how that baby got into this world, I had 2 C-sections. So that we need to have that time to honor our bodies and the process instead of critiquing our bodies and picking them apart and trying to change them. There's a lot of focus on getting our pre-baby body back. Right. And the thing is, there is no pre-baby body anymore. Once you've had a baby, you'll always be postpartum for the rest of your life. And that is kind of portrayed as a bad thing, but it's just not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. And what we need to be doing in the fitness industry, as well as just in society in general, is celebrating this time and changing that idea of we have to do all the things or you're not being successful. To it's time to take a break, to rest for a little while, to bond with your baby, and to rediscover who you are and and what your body has gone through, and kind of just really respecting that journey that you're on. And unfortunately, in our society, it's all about go, go, go. And bouncing back. And like I've said before, and that focus is just, it's harmful sometimes to moms, because when we are jumping back into fitness, we're hurting ourselves and not realizing it. So through my journey that I've been on, it all kind of comes together. Understanding how your body functions and how your core functions is incredibly empowering as a woman. You can make informed decisions about your pregnancy, about your birth, and about after you've had your baby. And then you can also kind of understand that time that you can take to rest and to be given the permission to rest and then rebuild, but rebuild in a different way than just jumping back into your exercise. Because a lot of the time at 6 weeks postpartum, we're told, yep, go ahead, do whatever you were doing before. But a lot of the time, no one's checking your pelvic floor. Is that functioning properly? A lot of the time we don't know. And things have been normalized, like pain, leaking, incontinence. And those things aren't normal. They actually are a sign that something isn't functioning properly with your pelvic floor. And the great thing about this is when we are informed, we know that there's something we can do about that. We don't have to live forever wearing pads or avoiding exercise and running and jumping. These are all things that we can work on, whether that's through a pelvic floor physio, working with a fitness specialist. I usually work hand in hand with pelvic floor physios with my clients. And we correct these things that over time can become a big issue for women. And they can be an embarrassing issue that we try to avoid talking about. So when we know these things, that's where that empowerment part comes in, because we know that there's something we can do. We don't feel broken anymore because we're not broken and we don't need to be fixed. We just have something that is an issue that we are going to address with the knowledge that we have. So that's why I have made it my mission to share all of these things with moms, because it's just so important to know. And then you can make those informed decisions and feel better about yourself, because when we are coming from a place, especially in the fitness world with our goals and stuff like that, and when we're coming from a place of hating ourselves or feeling broken or feeling like our babies have ruined our bodies, which is unfortunately what I hear from a lot of moms. Instead, if we're seeing ourselves as strong because we've had those babies and that we are amazing people, and if we can shift that mindset, which we'll talk about a little bit later, shifting that mindset, is when we can start to come from a place of positivity and love. And when we're coming from a place of positivity and love with our bodies, that's when true and lasting change is going to happen. And that's what I want for all women, is to feel good about your body as it is today. And that's what's important. And that's when we can start to create real and lasting change for the future, which is really exciting. Yeah. So what I'll just touch on a little bit is basically how your core functions, and some signs if you do have pelvic floor issues, and what you can kind of start to do about that. So our core is, the deep core is what I focus on. So that's your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, the transverse abdominis, which is an abdominal muscle that runs transversely across your body, and the multifidus, which is a deep spinal muscle. I'm kind of showing it, but you can't see me. And what we want to have is those muscles are all actually supposed to turn on and anticipate your move and protect your core. But when baby kind of grows in there, sometimes that connection can not be working the way we want it to be. So in pregnancy, what I work with my moms is making sure that we are trying to keep that function working together, so that we do have those muscles all turning on, they're working properly. And so after we've had our baby, we can kind of get back into that again a little bit quicker. Now, birth is birth. So baby gets here, our baby gets here. But we can always do our best to have our bodies be as prepared as possible for these, for the recovery part and the rebuild. After having our baby, so we do this, actually, I'll share one of the things that we can do, is the core breath is what I teach everybody. So what we want to have is, when it's kind of opposite of what you'd want, but what you kind of naturally want to do. But what it is it's getting those muscles turning on together. So when we inhale, we want to think of our pelvic floor lowering and opening. And then when we exhale, we want to squeeze the pelvic floor. So I'll show you. We want to squeeze the pelvic floor and lift. So an image is really good to use. You can use jellyfish. If you think of a jellyfish coming up, an elevator closing and coming up. Or even if it resonates with you, your vagina picking up a blueberry and pulling it up into your body. So for some people, that's a really good visual. And visuals make a huge difference in how your mind connects to this movement. So what I have moms do is, when we inhale, we're thinking of elongating and relaxing the pelvic floor. And on the exhale, we're squeezing and pulling the pelvic floor up. And we want that pelvic floor to be feeling like it's moving for that entire exhale. Totally okay if it's not. There are situations where you may not be feeling like you can pull it up very much, and that could just be because your pelvic floor is weak, or maybe you're feeling like it's coming up and stopping. There is a chance we have a tight pelvic floor, and I do let people know, if you ever feel pain or anything with doing a pelvic floor contraction, we definitely want to stop and go and see a pelvic floor physio. Just because a tight pelvic floor, we don't want to cause any pain. This should never be painful when you're doing this. And first and foremost, too, which I've forgotten to mention, is every woman should go and see a pelvic floor physio, every single one. It is wonderful to know what's going on. What I work on with my clients is the external, and a pelvic floor physio does all the internal things and can tell you exactly what's going on with your body internally. And it's amazing. So if you're thinking about having a baby, if you're pregnant, after having a baby, absolutely check out. Even if you're not having the symptoms, which I'm going to talk about shortly, highly recommended. It's just such a wonderful thing. And again, when we talk empowerment, the more knowledge you have, the better informed you are to make decisions. So I could not recommend it enough. Awesome. So circling back to core breath, we are going to, when we inhale, relax and elongate. Exhale, we're going to blow it like we're blowing out through a straw. That's going to turn on that transverse abdominis I talked about. So you should feel like you're feeling a slight hug around your midsection. And we're going to squeeze and pull the pelvic floor up. So we can do 3 of those for everyone who's here. So we'll do an inhale, and we want to feel that pelvic floor coming down and relaxing. And then we're going to exhale. I'm going to do the blueberry. You're going to pick up your blueberry and pull it up into your body as we're exhaling, and we're feeling a slight hug around our midsection. And then we're going to inhale and bring that pelvic floor back down and relax. And then we're going to exhale and squeeze and pull back up for that entire exhale. Inhale, bring back down and relax. And we'll do one last one. We're going to exhale and squeeze and pull up. And then we're going to inhale and bring back down and relax. So this is the foundation of everything that we do. And if this doesn't click right away, that is totally okay. Some people it clicks right away. Other people, we work on this for a few weeks. So by all means, and what I will do is I'll leave a link to a video that I've done for this. So you can go back and see it. And then what we end up doing is we add movement onto this. So once we kind of get feeling good about doing the core breath, that's when we move forward and add exercise to this.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what I teach. And I would like to share that because even doing that can help with things like diastasis, which is the separation of abdominals in pregnancy, and incontinence, all of those things. Once things are functioning as they should, it's amazing what kind of results you can see.
Very cool. So does it help a lot with like the prevention? So like anyone who hasn't had babies and is like, I want the best possible thing that I'm going to create for myself. Like if I started doing those now, that'll help for future.
Absolutely. So what you're doing is just creating that functional core. And when we have that functional core, absolutely. The ladies who I've worked with who've seen a pelvic floor physio have worked with me in pregnancy. After having baby, it's again, birth is birth, but it usually I see a big improvement. Like I can always tell people who worked with a physio beforehand. It's fairly impressive. Cool. Yeah,
I've never heard of that before. So now I'm like, I need to add that to like my pre-brain.
Yes,
things to do.
And a huge shout out to Bellies Inc. because they're where I got my pelvic floor fitness certification too. So, and that core breath is their term as well. Awesome. So I will go over just a few of the symptoms of things that can happen in after having baby, sometimes even before, depending. I found out I always had a dysfunctional pelvic floor. And it wasn't until having babies that I've addressed it and have been able to work on that. So basically any leaking. So we talked about incontinence before, and if you experience leaking when you laugh, cough, or sneeze, or basically any time that you're not sitting on the toilet wanting to go to the bathroom, that is incontinence, even if it's a couple of drops. And that is just a sign that things aren't working correctly. So either maybe the pelvic floor is a little bit too weak and it's not able to control the urine stream in the urethra, or it could be too tight and it also isn't functioning properly. Because what that pelvic floor is doing is supporting all of our pelvic floor organs, and it's actually wrapping around all of the sphincters in our pelvic area. Oh my gosh, the word will come to me eventually. But
it's Monday morning.
Right? Exactly, mom brain, I swear. So when those muscles aren't functioning properly, that's when issues are going to happen. And like I said, there is definitely something you can do about leaking. So I like to share that because I've noticed even now that the panty liner industry is really happy to tell you that there's nothing you can do. So wear a pad.
Oh my gosh. I like when those commercials started being like, everyone has that. I'm like, pull cancel delete. And like, let's not say to every single woman that you're just going to be like broken forever. Like that's terrible.
Yeah, no. And that's definitely not the case. And so pads are fine as a temporary, of course, fix for just a little bit, but it's definitely not like your long-term thing that you have to deal with.
Right.
Which is great. And so something else that you can experience is diastasis. So what that is the separation of the abdominals. So there's a lot of talk about that. So it's when like the abdominal wall, so these were your rectus abdominis, your ab muscles. In pregnancy, the connective tissue that holds them together stretches. And there's been a new study that actually says it's 100% of women who get it. So very normal, nothing to be scared about. But something to know about, because after we have baby, they go back about as much as they're going to. You have 8 weeks where they're spontaneously healing. And then after that, we kind of have to intervene if they're still not, if we're still not creating tension. And we get a lot of focus on how far apart they're separated, but I'm not really concerned about that as much as can you create tension, in that connective tissue. So if you kind of think of that transverse and the connective tissue as protecting our core and supporting our core. If we're not able to create tension in that tissue, then it's doming up or sinking in. And that's when maybe we're experiencing back pain, or I hear a lot of moms just say, I have no strength in my core whatsoever. It can just be because they're actually not creating tension. And for me, I had noticed as well that I never had deep core strength ever. I'd only ever tried to strengthen muscles that weren't like those deep supportive core muscles. And once I started doing that, even with just the core breath, I noticed a huge difference. And that was really, it was really interesting. And when you start working on those muscles, it's almost like you stand taller and you feel more confident, more powerful, which also helps a lot for like how you feel as a woman too. So that part is amazing. And from having a C-section as well, we're cutting through all of those abdominals. So it really is important once we've had that time to heal, to just make sure that everything's kind of, we're rebuilding that strength over time as well. Because after having a C-section, I can promise you literally feel like there's nothing there. And that is normal because there really isn't at that time, especially if those tissues are still stretched out. It's completely normal to feel that way, just as we heal. So things that we can do to kind of help along that healing after we've had baby is not sitting straight up and down. So especially in the middle of the night when we're getting up to get baby, it can just be natural to just sit straight up. And again, it's 3 a.m. You get up however you need to get up. But if you think of it, sliding up on your side is a better way to do that. As well as not holding your breath when you're doing activities. So if we're standing up from a sitting down position, we're picking baby up off the floor, we're not going to hold our breath. That just puts a lot of pressure on those tissues. And when we're trying to heal, or if we're working with me, we want to make sure that we're protecting those tissue so that we can give ourselves the best chance to heal. So that's kind of diastasis. I'm doing quick overviews of everything. If anyone has any further questions, please drop them below and I'll answer them.
Cool. We had some people saying hi, but no questions so far. So perfect. Dana said, hi, beautiful girls. Hello. Hope you're having a beautiful morning. And Leanna said, hey.
Hey, Leanna.
Awesome day. Other people saying hi. You guys are having an awesome day.
Perfect. So we'll touch on, to continue on the pelvic floor dysfunction stuff, we'll touch on pelvic organ prolapse. And I always want to talk about it because I feel like it is probably for me the number one reason why I think you should want to have a functional pelvic floor. Because I had no idea. I ended up finding out that I have a pelvic organ prolapse. And if I hadn't found out about it, I do high intensity exercise. I run a lot. And if I hadn't have known about this, it actually would have become a very big issue for me in the future. So pelvic organ prolapse is the organs, your pelvic organs actually descending down into your vagina and potentially out of your body. So that can be your bladder, your uterus, rectum, and if you've had a hysterectomy, it could be your cervix as well. So there's different grades, starting at 1, which is just a little bit, 2, 3, 4 is actually out of your body. Ooh. So the symptoms for that are if you feel any heaviness in your pelvis, bulging, if you leaking can be a sign. If there's any like urine stream stopping and starting, constipation, there's a lot of different symptoms. And for pelvic organ prolapse, if you think you have any of those symptoms, I would highly, highly recommend seeing a pelvic floor physio. I always refer anybody who has those symptoms to pelvic floor physio because you just want to know exactly what's going on. And they're great for telling you what you can do once you've kind of assessed what's going on there. And again, it can be a situation where a lot of women are told that's it. You can't do anything else. You can't lift anything anymore. You can't run anymore. And again, luckily, in a fair amount of cases, that's not the case. There is lots that you can do. Yeah, I've been able to return to running symptom-free. So there's definitely lots of stuff that you can do. So it's not the end of getting to do all the things that you love, which a lot of the time it can be presented that way. So I always like to just share that so that there is lots of stuff you guys can do if that is something that you are experiencing. So please reach out to a pelvic floor physio. And if you don't have one, you can always shoot me a message and we can chat. And then the last one is just something common. It's just pain. So pelvic pain, back pain, a lot of the time we just kind of disregard it because it's just part of life. It can also be a sign that just something isn't functioning properly. Maybe that core is not turning on, so the back has been having to work harder, all of those things. So muscle imbalances and stuff like that. So again, pain and stuff like that is stuff you don't have to live with.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's certain cases, but for the most part, yeah, it's something we can address. And maybe it's a muscle imbalance. Maybe it's just, I mean, we carried a baby, so we're going to give ourselves a little bit of compassion there. Yeah, so that's another thing that I address. And with getting that core functioning properly again, we definitely can address all of those things. So it's good to know that like all of this stuff is just stuff that you can prepare yourself for. And then when you're recovering, so we're going to talk recovery because it's such an important time. And I would actually recommend those first 2 weeks, don't do anything. Nice. If you're able, spend that time getting to know your baby and learning all about what this crazy world of being a mom is, because it's a lot. It's so much. And I mean, I always say relax as much as you can if it's not your first baby, because you can only relax so much when you have a toddler and a newborn. But yeah, like we had talked about earlier, just giving yourself that time and honoring that process of just literally healing. We don't have to do anything except for heal at this point in time. And then as we start to feel better, that's when we can start incorporating the breathing. And then we can start doing, we can start working in minor exercises that are very gentle on the body, like a glute bridge, that kind of stuff. We can get moving, but walking is one of the best things you can do right off the bat. It's great just for getting that exercise, just feeling better. And it's different than what we are told to do. So we're not jumping back into the fitness routine once we hit 6 weeks. Usually it's 6 weeks that I start, well, it is 6 weeks that I start to work with clients, because that's when we can just start doing, and I just start with the breathing that I showed you guys. We start with the breathing and then we start adding in exercises. Nice. And my philosophy too is, if you didn't have time to work out today, that's okay. It's not time to be killing ourselves and trying to get our workouts in. Now's the time to be gentle. And if we're not feeling it, then we're not feeling it. That's okay. We've had a baby. I even remind myself, and even at 10 months postpartum, I still have to remind myself that I'm still technically recovering. And there's still things that I am not able to do that I could do before, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means that I'm still honoring that journey that my body's taking right now. And that's what I'm trying to change, is that kind of belief system that we have to do everything all at once. Now, not to be, and that being said, if you are having a functional core and you're able to do these movements safely and effectively, absolutely, we add stuff on. And if you're feeling energetic, but it's also the other side of that, knowing that it's okay if that's not where you're at, or if this week it wasn't something that you were able to get to, because that's all part of it. And if we're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, we're not going to stick with what we're doing. We're just going to, and if we quote unquote failed at something, then we're just going to not want to keep trying, and it's going to be a negative experience, which again is what needs to change. And that kind of leads me into the whole body image thing. So now that we've kind of heard about things about how our body functions, and that issues that we may have that are leaving us feeling like, I use the term broken a lot of the time. That is what I hear. Now that we kind of know that there is something we can do about that, and we are in fact amazing, powerful beings, now we can start to look at our body from how we are seeing ourselves, and how we're speaking to ourselves, and how we're being spoken to. Because when you really stop and start looking at how you're being marketed to and spoken to, it can be a bit infuriating. I've kind of just been on this journey, especially with the kind of really eyes wide open with my second daughter. And it's just, now that I've noticed it, it's everywhere. And I'm striving to be a different voice, because we don't need more people at this time in our lives telling us things that we need to fix about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We need people who are there to support us, and who understand that motherhood is hard, because it is hard. It's wonderful, but it's hard at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it all affects how we feel about our bodies. And to be reduced to a number on a scale, or a number on a pair of jeans,
Mm-hmm.
is boring to me. If my life is only worth how my size, what a boring life that is.
Yeah.
I'm so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I am somebody, not somebody.
Yeah.
And we all need to be treated that way, and love ourselves for who we are, not how we look. And sure, and conversations about our body should be about how our bodies are functioning, not how our bodies look.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of the conversation that needs to be happening and needs to be changing, because again, when we come from that place of love, that's when we're going to be able to change and have that true and lasting change in our lives. And if we aren't feeling okay with who we are right now, it's really hard. And we're going to get into a cycle of try something, not stick with it, feel like we're failing, circle back around again. And we need to break that cycle. We want to break that cycle. And let me be very clear too, it's totally okay to not feel good about your body. We've been conditioned from a very young age to believe that how we look is what matters in life. We get attention from how we look when we're young. We're told that if we look a certain way, life gets better. And so it's totally okay to feel that way. It's just kind of recognizing that and starting to take small steps to change how we speak to ourselves and change how we feel about ourselves. I did a talk too about how to fit into your pre-pregnancy jeans, and or how to fit into your jeans. And mine was just buy new jeans. Go and buy clothes that fit. Squeezing ourselves into clothes that don't fit is just miserable. And it's that taking that time to just go and buy clothes that fit, feel good, feel good. And that's what's, I'm totally touching my microphone. And that's what really matters. So that's the kind of the journey that I help my moms down, because it's so important, and it's not the norm, if you will, but it needs to be.
Yes.
And, so how we do that is by changing that internal dialogue. So how are you speaking to yourself? Would you speak to your friend that way, or another woman that way? You probably wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. I'm still a work in progress as well, because this is a work in progress. And it's something just to focus on. And so changing things, how you say things to yourself. So I'm so weak because I had a baby. How about I'm so strong because I was able to have my baby and bring my baby into this world. Changing that dialogue, or I'm broken because XYZ, to like, instead of saying broken, we're saying like I need, just changing that wording so that we're not coming from that place of negativity, but the place of love. And that's what I work on with everybody to do, because when we start, and it doesn't have to be anything big, it can just be one thing a day that you do, or you catch yourself saying something. And even if you don't have something to say in place of it, you pause and go, isn't that interesting that I have said that, and why? And if you have a hard time coming up with something that you do love about yourself, again, totally okay. Maybe find someone that you trust and ask them what they love about you to get a different perspective, because sometimes it takes an outer perspective to show us something that we're missing.
And our friends and our loved ones see how great and beautiful and incredible we are. Like, our partner who just saw you give birth can be like, you're like a superwoman. Like, men can't do this. There are other people who can't do these things, and you did it.
Yeah. And we are superheroes.
Yes.
And like I said, it is really, it's tough being a mom. And that, and we need to talk more about that too, that it is tough. It's not all a happy Instagram post. There's a lot. It's very, very tough. And that's why we need to just give ourselves, honor our journey and give ourselves some compassion, because it's a time when we really need to be compassionate with ourselves, and really realize, because I always say that I believe that all moms are strong just right now because of what you've done. There is no weak moms. None. They do not exist. And all that I do is help you rediscover that strength, because it's there. We're just looking. We just have to look for it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And Leanna's like, yeah. Someone else popped on. Hey, Melissa, saying good morning. Awesome. So then do you want to get into that gratitude experience that everyone can really discover that inner strength and know how awesome we are? So everyone who's watching, I know I'm sometimes guilty about like listening to things in the background while I'm doing other stuff because life gets busy sometimes, but let's just give ourselves the gift of this experience for the next couple minutes.
Perfect. So I always want to start on a positive note. So we start with something that we're grateful for. And this could be something too that you do every single day. And that can literally just be, I'm alive, or my children are here. I have people who love me and a roof over my head. And we'll start kind of our day on that grateful note. That's just going to set off the rest of the day. And then it's going to be looking at ourselves and truly saying, what do I love about my postpartum body? And as I mentioned earlier, that may be very difficult. So if we're having trouble with that, we're going to ask somebody, because that can be a tough ask, but there's always something. And if what you love about your postpartum body is that it gave you your children, that can be a great place to start. And then we're going to start working on changing that language. So if you're constantly finding yourself saying that your body has been ruined by your baby, we're going to change that wording and say that my body is better because of my baby. I am better because of my baby.
Yeah.
And I am strong. So I always say I am strong, because we are. So if we look in the mirror and say that we are strong every single day, because it is true, even if you're not feeling it, it is 100% true.
Yes.
And that moment and that connection is going to start building that positive relationship with this new body of ours, and really kind of getting to know our bodies. And again, it may not come easily, but we're going to just do little things every single day to change how we speak and think about ourselves, because it's that inner dialogue that's going to get us. And it's also the not comparing ourselves to other people, because every single journey is going to be different. And when we're kind of on that social media front, you don't know what the person's story is who's showing you all of the highlights of their life. So what we need to do is just look at ourselves. How have we improved, or how have we changed from right after we had our baby till now? That's our new normal. We're not going from our pre-baby self. She is gone. We love her, but she's gone. In her place is our new body. And so what are we going to do there? And what are we going to do with her and for her? So I like to try to make that our new normal, instead of putting our pre-baby selves on a pedestal, because it's an unattainable goal, because it doesn't exist anymore. So instead, what we're going to do is find all the amazing things about ourselves and build upon those.
Yes.
So lots of different things for mindset to kind of work on, and just changing that inner dialogue. That's kind of what I guide my moms to do, because it seems like something, either it could come across as something very difficult, or it may seem like something so simple to you. But when you're doing that each day, it really does start to change your inner dialogue all the time, not even in that moment. And we just become kinder to ourselves. And when we're kinder to ourselves, that's when we start to kind of really appreciate what we've done and what we've accomplished. And then we build upon that. And then we're unstoppable, because we are unstoppable. We're just going to really like unleash that for everybody.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So beautiful. And what I love teaching women, like baby or no baby, like saying I love you in the mirror is so powerful.
Yes.
Like even if you can't see on a negative day when you're on your period and everything's going wrong and like you're super emotional and like it's the worst day in the world, like looking at yourself and saying I love you can make you feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. Just giving yourself, and it's because it's like it's almost reflected back to you. Even if you don't on a cellular level, I feel like your body's like, oh, thank you. I need that.
Yeah, because you say it and you give it to everyone else. So giving it to yourself is so powerful, and getting in the habit of saying it. Like years and years ago, I started doing it. So now anytime like I'm washing my hands, like I look at myself and I say, I love you, instead of that negative chatter of all the things that were wrong with me compared to what my ideal self should look like, or what the beauty people in the world who are marketing stuff think I should look like.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's a wonderful thing to do. And when we start to really unleash that self-love, wow, like it's just an incredible experience and transformation.
It is. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And can you share with everyone how they can connect with you after the show and your links, and definitely put them in the comments afterwards as well?
Absolutely, I will. So you can check me out on Facebook at Amanda Ingram Fit, on Instagram at Amanda Ingram Fitness. And my website is www.amandaingramfitness.com. And I will be actually launching online training starting in February. So if you'd like to be on a list for that, please shoot me a message. So you can also send me a message through my website as well, and we can get you on the list for that, because I would. I'm very excited.
Very cool. That's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely need to like, I didn't even know that there was like these kind of services. Like, I'm like, I'm so grateful that this is bringing into my awareness before I even need them. And it's like, yes.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And it's so beneficial for all women, actually. Anyone who has a pelvic floor even. So, which is everybody.
So how long should you do the breath for? If you're like starting out?
So when we're starting out, I recommend 10 to 15 times a day, and you can do that in different positions. So whether you're seated, standing, and laying down, because we're going to be protecting our core in all of those positions. And I would start with just 10 to 15 breaths per day in each position. Yeah.
Awesome. That's amazing. We got more comments. I love this. Yay. So cool. And thank you guys so much for watching. If this is like totally resonating with you and you need to share this with friends, definitely hit the share button. Or if you're like, I don't necessarily want to post it right on her wall or on my wall, you can also take the link at the top and just send it in private messages to get this information to the people who need it, so they don't feel like they're broken, that there isn't anything wrong with them, that literally everything in them is amazing and strong and just so powerful from being a mom or from being pregnant right now. Like, it's so important for us to shift this conversation and have a new message given to all women that they're incredible and strong and just so empowered and awesome.
Absolutely.
And definitely continue to tune into the Love and Light show every Monday. And I'm sending you guys all so much love and light. Have a great week. Bye.